Hi everyone, it's me, Krylios, Team Rayceen Productions co-host and moderator.
Hello, I'm Yilin Zhang, Team Rayceen Productions co-host and moderator. Joining us is Salah Czapary, Director of the Mayor's Office of Nightlife and Culture in Washington, D.C. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's such a pleasure to have you here today with us, Salah. Please introduce yourself to our viewers and tell us a little bit about your background and experience.
Certainly. Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on the show again. My name is Salah Czapary. I'm the Director of the Mayor's Office of Nightlife and Culture. A little bit about me. I'm from the area, from Montgomery County, Maryland originally. I live in Adams Morgan now in Ward 1. I started my career working for DC government, actually working for the Metropolitan Police Department. Started as an officer, ended up working in community engagement and marketing and recruiting, and kind of always found myself in my career between kind of in the space between what our communities needs were and demands were and what the realities of government were. And so now I've taken on the task of serving as the director of Nightlife, and it's a similar role, being in this middle ground of being an advocate for the industry, those who are operating restaurants, hotels, nightlife establishments, live music, all of those things, and also those who consume our cultural and nighttime economies, and then being that liaison and advocate between that industry and government. So it's been an exciting 2 months, and I'm excited to be here with you guys to share a little bit more about what's coming up and what's big in Washington, D.C.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you for taking the time. So for viewers who are unfamiliar with the Mayor's Office of Nightlife and Culture, please tell us about its scope and what you do as the director.
Certainly. So it's a relatively new office. It started in 2018. And the idea behind having a nightlife director or a cultural director in cities is that a lot of our cultural economy happens when government is closed, and so there's a need to have an advocate within government, a liaison with government, to help that industry navigate the bureaucracy of government, to have their issues heard. And of course, the office started in 2018. By 2020, of course, COVID hit. And so really what we saw was the office took a role of really helping industries survive. We saw many different grant programs offered, such as the bridge grants and the food access funds through the Deputy Mayor's Office for Public Safety and through the Deputy Mayor's Office for Planning and Economic Development. And what we really moved from survival during 2020-21 to then recovery. And now what we're really focused on is revitalization. And we see that with the mayor's goal for downtown, getting people to live downtown. And what we expect when people live downtown is that we'll bring a vibrant nightlife and cultural economy down there too. And really the way I see the job is changing the paradigm around nightlife and the cultural economy. You know, we see it as a sector of the economy, but the way I see it is it's really a second economy. And that's a second economy that offers a lot of second chances, because it offers a lot of low barrier jobs and entry level jobs. And so when we talk about giving people a fair shot, when we talk about giving people an opportunity to make it and a second chance, as we expand the second economy, we're also expanding opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, so you come into this role as DC is entering a new phase after pandemic lockdowns and other economic challenges have impacted the lives of residents, workers, and consumers. How do you define this time, and how do you plan to help improve DC's communities?
Certainly. Like I touched on before, we had this period of just surviving, a period of recovery, and now we really want to enter a period of revitalization, where we reimagine what downtown looks like, where we reimagine our cultural and musical and nightlife economies. Part of that is through direct interventions through grant programs like the Bridge Fund. The Bridge Fund was offered through the Deputy Mayor's Office for Planning and Economic Development, and it gave grant funds to restaurants or other businesses that were affected by COVID. And so that was key in making sure that these industries could survive and continue paying workers and whatnot. But then there's another program out there also offered through the same deputy mayor's office called the Food Access Funds. And the Food Access Funds are really focused on bringing healthy food options and food realtors to areas that have low food access. So primarily in Ward 7 and 8. So that includes grocery stores, but that also includes restaurants and nightlife establishments. And when I talk to ANCs and neighbors in Ward 7 and 8, although it's great to come over to Ward 2, Ward 1, or Ward 3 to go to a nice restaurant or to go out, we also need to make sure that we're offering opportunities for people in other wards. So a focus of mine is also making sure people know we have these programs. The Food Access Fund just ended its application period a few days ago. That's $10 million that were on the table to get operators to open new venues in Ward 7 and 8. And I expect that we'll be continuing to do these innovative programs. And then, I think as we think about expanding the cultural economy, part of that is also placemaking. We have to be excited when big brands and names come to DC, like World Pride is coming in 2025. That's an opportunity for us to expand our footprint and putting on festivals and big things. But we also have to create spaces for our local artists, our marching band at Eastern High School, for example, or our go-go scene, and really not only preserving go-go, but also elevating it. And so I see my role as also being able to connect our local artists and our local entrepreneurs to these resources and to venues and opportunities.
Awesome. And I'm so glad you mentioned go-go, because if anyone knows anything about the district, is that go-go music is a huge part of the district's culture. So tell us a little bit about the Go-Go Roundtable and the year of go-go.
Certainly. So the go-go law was signed by Mayor Bowser in 2020, in February 2020. And of course, everyone knows a month later, the world shut down because of COVID. So even though there's been systematic progress to preserving go-go and elevating go-go over the last few years, because of COVID, we haven't done anything really big. And so what we're trying to do in 2023 is really make it the year of go-go. And what that means is elevating go-go music locally. It's our official music by law, but also culturally is just a staple. And I consider it our untapped resource. If you go to Nashville, and you ask anyone, where do you see some country music, they'll tell you. And so what we want to do is really help make DC a musical destination for go-go music. So you'll see throughout the year, next month, we have the third anniversary of the signing of the go-go law. The Office of Creative Affairs will host the Keep the Beat Week. As we get into April, we have the Emancipation Parade. Of course, there'll be go-go featured there. And our hope is to continue to elevate go-go music so that we can put on big festivals that attract large crowds, that bring all of our community together, whether you grew up here or were born here and grew up listening to go-go, or whether you moved from somewhere else and only because you're in Washington, D.C. that you learn of go-go.
That's wonderful. There's just so much going on, and the culture of DC is just so rich. So you are one of DC's newest appointees who is leading one of the newest offices in the administration. Could you tell us a little bit about your vision for the office and what do you most want to accomplish?
Certainly. So I see, the office kind of has three buckets of work. There's the first piece, which is a constituent services that's helping the operators and the owners and those who consume the cultural economy to be able to navigate the bureaucratic processes. And, that can look like, someone wants to do a festival and they need help getting permits. Maybe they're opening a new venue and they need a little bit of help navigating how they do that. That's part of it. Another part of it is this placemaking and creating opportunities that I spoke about, attracting brands, but also creating spaces for local talent. And the last piece of it is just creating new things. And that's what we're really focused on with the Year of Go-Go is that we're trying to do something new when it comes to the go-go scene. When I speak to the go-go community, there's a desire to have go-go recognized nationally. We recognize it here as our official music, but if you go on Apple Music or Spotify, go-go is not listed as a genre. So I think some of our long-term goals are creating these new opportunities by getting go-go, for example, recognized. So those are really the three buckets. We work in government, so we are a liaison with all of our sister agencies that operate in the nightlife space. From public safety to economic development, working through those issues. But at the same time, we're also an advocate and liaison for the industry.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now, we always want people to be able to learn more about what you do, learn more about your office, and to keep up with all the updates. So please tell viewers how they can learn more and keep up with you.
Certainly. Well, I'm on Twitter and Instagram. It's my last name at CZAPARY, Czapary. Our official handles for the Mayor's Office of Nightlife and Culture, they are both at DC MONC, so DCMONC. And that's on Twitter and Instagram. And then my email is up there as well. It's just my first dot last name with the number 1 at dc.gov. And that's because there's so many Salah Czaparys in DC Gov.
Well, thank you so much for that. And viewers, please look in the description below for links. Salah, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
And viewers, please follow Team Rayceen Productions on all forms of social media at Team Rayceen. Click around our YouTube channel and check out our other interviews, vlogs, forums, and more. And while you're at it, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And Yilin, what would you like to say to our viewers?
Viewers, thank you for watching.